From the Victory Studios in downtown Little Rock, this is Capitol View with your host, David Goins.
Good Sunday morning to you. Welcome into Capitol View. I'm David Goins. Thanks for being with us. Plenty to get to in the U.S. Senate and governor's race and what the latest polls say about where those races are headed. Our political long table offering their insights, Bill Vickey and Jessica DeLoach in a few minutes. But first, a quick look at the week that was in Arkansas politics. And we start in D.C. as Congress wraps up its work leading up to the August recess as that got underway. Some items did get done. Sort of. There's 9 more months of money for the Federal Highway Trust Fund, but the Arkansas Highway Department has talked about their frustration with no long-term solution. The money will be there through March, and Congress did complete work on increased funding for the VA. But on Friday, President Barack Obama lamenting the House's inability to pass the Senate's immigration bill that was approved 13 months ago.
Now, our efforts administratively so far have helped to slow the tide of child migrants trying to come to our country. But without additional resources and help from Congress, we're just not going to have the resources we need to fully solve the problem. That means while they're out on vacation, I'm going to have to make some tough choices to meet the challenge, with or without Congress.
It appears it'll be without Congress as that recess begins. That'll likely mean some form of executive order. And while the president spoke on Friday afternoon, Arkansas Senator John Bozeman was actually on the U.S.-Mexico border. Arkansas's junior senator meeting with officials from the U.S. Border Patrol in Hidalgo, Texas. According to the senator's office, the trip included a tour of a detention center for immigrants crossing into the U.S. without proper documentation, also viewing of the Hidalgo International Bridge. Also this week, Congress passed a bill to reform the Department of Veterans Affairs. Arkansas Congressman Rick Crawford, one of only 5 no votes in the House. Arkansas's 3 other representatives, as well as both senators on Thursday, voted in favor of the legislation. It's intended to help hire more doctors and nurses and help veterans avoid long waits for care. The VA has been under fire over the last several months for alleged cover-ups at the Phoenix VA hospital for long wait times. Now, Congressman Crawford, who is a U.S. Army veteran, did say in a statement after the vote that he doesn't think the bill does enough to hold the VA accountable, saying, quote, "To my knowledge, no personnel have been fired or held to account as a result. This is unacceptable. Unfortunately, these shortcomings can't be addressed with money alone. Sadly, Congress has a history of throwing money at problems and calling them solved." Now, Crawford's Democratic opponent, Jackie McPherson, the mayor of Heber Springs, called the congressman out of touch for the vote, saying this is a staggering example of Congressman Crawford putting his dysfunctional Washington politics over Arkansas values. And this time, it's our brave service members and veterans who are paying the price. Those comments from Friday. Well, many teachers across the state will see their health insurance rise again next year, even after lawmakers called a second special session to address the issue earlier this summer. For now, teachers, they know what they'll be paying come January 1st, but the long-term systematic problem for the public school employee health insurance plan does remain.
It's livable. It's doable.
Livable and doable. About the best way Camden Fairview teacher Angela Avery can describe health insurance rates next year.
I came in, trying to be their voice, trying to give them something that they could live with, and I feel like that's what we've done.
The Public School Health Insurance Board signing off on 2015 rates on Tuesday after about an hour of discussion. What teachers pay and their increase really depends on their plan, but what was once described as the Bronze Plan, now rebranded the Classic Plan, health insurance rate for an employee and their spouse will go from $266 to $346 every pay period, a 30% hike.
That's a tremendous rate increase for employees, and I'm not happy about that, and certainly couldn't support any more of a rate increase than that.
And Marion School Superintendent Jeff Altimus says the toughest decisions still haven't been made.
I think we kicked the can further down the road today. We're dealing with a plan that's chronically underfunded.
And until more money comes in from either school districts or from lawmakers, the future of the public school employee health plan continues to be shaky, a plan that could end up coming up short on money yet again.
I do believe that kicking the can down the road is not a good idea, because that's what we blame the legislature for doing, and now the board has done the same thing.
Bob Alexander there says over the next few years, in order for the health insurance plan to stay afloat, teachers, really everyone, will need to be in the same plan and risk spread equally across all public school employees. Translation, the issue of teachers' insurance rates clearly will be part of the political scene for quite a while. Arkansas college students once again bracing for rising tuition costs. All 5 of the state's largest universities have announced tuition increases for the 2014-2015 academic year. Those schools include University of Arkansas in Fayetteville, UALR in Little Rock, UCA in Conway, Arkansas State in Jonesboro, and Arkansas Tech in Russellville. This week, Mike Ross and Asa Hutchison talked about their plans to help keep college affordable. Hutchison wants to see more innovations from universities like the U of A's 4-year online degree program.
I want our 4-year colleges in Arkansas to realize that students have a choice, and they're going to go where they get a good education and where it's affordable.
Both men see alternative education as a positive pathway forward, but Mike Ross, who said he's planning to become or running to become the education governor, says more guidance early is needed.
Every time that someone increases another program or cuts a tax without paying for it, it's higher education that gets a haircut.
Ross added he wants to make sure funding for higher education does not get cut back further. Governor Mike Beebe says he will not call a special election to fill a newly vacant seat in the state Senate. Republican Johnny Key of Mountain Home stepped down on Thursday. He takes a new job as a lobbyist for the University of Arkansas system. Republican Scott Flippo did win the Republican nomination for that seat in May, or actually in June in a runoff. No Democrats are running for that seat. Arkansas Attorney General has asked a federal judge to keep the state's ban on same-sex marriage in place. A pair of same-sex couples suing the state in federal court. Now, earlier this month, their lawyers asked the judge for a summary judgment in the case, essentially a ruling right away. Attorney General Dustin McDaniel has asked the judge to reject that. This lawsuit, different than the one from Pulaski County, where a lawsuit struck down Arkansas's ban on gay marriage back in May. That ruling is currently on appeal to the state Supreme Court. The state Supreme Court did set a September 8th deadline to receive briefs on the same-sex marriage case. ExxonMobil has restarted a portion of the Pegasus pipeline, but the section that runs through Arkansas remains shut down. A spokesman for Exxon did confirm to Capitol View earlier this week that the southern portion of the pipeline that runs through Texas restarted on July 9th. It had been shut down since the March 2013 oil spill when the pipeline ruptured in Mayflower, causing thousands of barrels of oil to gush into a subdivision. Still no timetable yet when or if the portion of the line that runs through the state of Arkansas will restart. Well, coming up after a quick break, new polling gives us a better idea of where the biggest races stand 3 months out. We'll break those down with our political long table. Stay right where you are. I'm David Goins. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
The new American-built Toyota Tundra with restyled leather interior, backup camera, and our biggest payload ever. When you want to do more, get the truck that does more.
Get 0% APR for 60 months plus $2,000 special edition cash and a new 2014 Tundra Crewmax TSS edition for a savings over $6,500. Toyota, let's go places.
Wow, summer is finally here. But if you have an unexpected power outage, the summer heat can not only make you uncomfortable, it can be dangerous to your health. Our Tri-State generators will kick on within 15 seconds of a power outage to protect you and your family. It can run a few basics or power your entire home. Don't wait until it's too late. Get your standby generator today so you and your family are protected during the summer months. Why wait? Call Tri-State today.
You know Mike Ross helped Nancy Pelosi run up trillions in debt, and that Ross voted with Pelosi to waste billions on the stimulus and big government bailouts. But there's more. Mike Ross voted with Nancy Pelosi over 80 times against taxpayers. Over 80 times. Even worse, Mike Ross voted for government health care, more radical, more liberal, and more intrusive than the Obamacare disaster. Mike Ross, wrong on health care.
I'm Nate Steele, and I'm running to be your Attorney General. Here in my hometown of Nashville, Arkansas, I learned important values like faith, honesty, and hard work. My mother always taught me that if you have the opportunity to help someone and you don't, you're wasting your life. She works every day with special needs children in our local public schools. She's strong, smart, and conservative. I believe the #1 role of government is to protect its citizens. I support alternative criminal justice programs like drug courts. Our prisons are overcrowded, and I don't want violent criminals or sexual predators out of jail before they've served their full terms. Arkansas has the 2nd worst meth rate in America. As an experienced prosecutor, I know firsthand that we release way too many criminals early from prison to make room for even more. It's a revolving prison door, and it's unacceptable. I will put the safety of our seniors, our mothers, and our children far ahead of a national political agenda. Let's keep the focus on Arkansas. Vote Nate Steele for Attorney General.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And welcome back to Capitol View. I'm David Goins. We now join our political long table for the week. Jessica DeLoach, Bill Vickery. How are y'all doing?
Great.
Good afternoon.
Good to have you back. Yeah, yeah. Let's start with, there was some polling this week. We've heard a little bit about that. So let's start there. The U.S. Senate poll from Talk Business and Hendrix College finds Congressman Tom Cotton leading incumbent Senator Mark Pryor 44 to 42%. You see it on your screen there. Essentially a statistical dead heat within the margin of error, with neither Pryor or Cotton really close to that 50% mark just yet. Bill, let's start here. Both sides have been talking about polls that favor their candidates. Some are releasing internals. This is, a pretty significant, nonpartisan poll that shows a pretty close race, right?
Yeah, we've discussed this on this program a number of times, that sort of any poll before Labor Day is kind of like a preseason college football poll. It's kind of you throw a dart at a board. What should be troubling for Democrats here, a couple of things. One is that a sitting U.S. Senator is so far below 50% that sort of universally accepted that's a guy that's sort of a dead man walking. If you're that well known and you're in the low 40s this far out, it's not good for you. Second thing is, we are starting to see a trend. So while I've always been suspicious of pre-Labor Day polls, one after the other now is beginning to establish some real Republican dominance from a brand standpoint here.
Jessica, your takeaway from the poll, first glance.
I remain suspicious of any polling that happens before Labor Day.
Is Labor Day some like magic day?
I think that's when everything just
a holiday, like what?
It just kicks into gear.
Yeah.
I think that's when it's game time. That's crunch time, and that's when you'll see all the fundraising efforts kick up. But about this poll, you've had some Democratic strategists who've taken issue with the poll, and the reason why was because of the sampling that was done with the African American community, about how 8% of that poll represented that community. But if you look back at 2010 and voter turnout, what you'll see is that roughly 11 to 12% of Pryor's votes came from the African American community. So they're saying, hey, if you really take into consideration what we've seen in the past, that gap wouldn't be there. You would have Pryor ahead.
A little bit of underrepresentation, at least for that one demographic.
Yeah, it's one of those, if we only polled the people that were going to vote for me, then I'd think that was a great poll. Again, I think this is a lot of smoke and mirrors here. The Democrats in Arkansas are in really desperate straits right now, and that's a blanket statement, as you can see, moving all the way through this polling analysis into congressional races where you see Republicans ahead on every level. And that's not a mistake. That's not a coincidence. The president has been devastating on the Democratic Party here in Arkansas. Undecideds, the sort of moderate, middle-of-the-road voters, they see the Democratic Party as Charles Manson. There's something bad about it, so they're fleeing toward the Republican side, and it's starting to become more and more evident.
Charles Manson.
I'll throw a Charles Manson out there on Sunday morning.
Well, all right. Let's look at, sticking with this, independents. Okay, undecideds. That's, neither candidate is at 50%. That's essentially what we're looking at for the last 3 months, is who's going to move that. To your point, Bill, independents, at least from polling, are trending a lot more Republican. That's probably not a positive, Jessica, I would think, for Democrats.
It's not a positive. It is true that, and there's a significant vote to be captured there, because in the U.S. Senate race and in the governor's race, over 7% of that vote it's undecided. And then there's independents as well. And so you can't look at the two the same, but Democrats can pretty much be sure that playing for those independent votes won't necessarily be the best use of their time based on the trends we're seeing, but the undecided votes closes the majority of the gaps we are seeing. And that's significant too.
Let's look at the governor's race, which is going to have some overlap in some ways, but it's unique to its own self. The governor's race, again from Talk Business and Hendrix College, finds that Asa Hutchinson leading Mike Ross 46-41. Poll finding that Hutchinson is doing better with white male voters, but he's also actually a percentage point up with women as well. Real gap, again, coming from independents, where the GOP candidate is doing a little bit stronger. So again, this gets back to this independence, trending Republican. That's what we've seen, at least in the last few years, with these races, Bill.
Yeah, I think, again, as you see the president on the decline, you see Democrats on the decline in Arkansas. And I think this is one of those years that no matter what these state candidates want to do, they're inextricably tied to this president. Mike Ross most definitely is tied to this president when you look at the number of votes he cast in support of this administration when he was in Congress, when you look at the votes that he cast on health care as a committee member, when you look at the votes that he cast in favor of Nancy Pelosi and a lot of the stuff that she's been pushing. That's why you see these independents moving more towards the our side. And that obviously benefits Asa Hutchinson. And, he's at a point where we could just be weeks away from this gubernatorial race really being sort of said and done, and we're into almost maybe a month and a half where it's just a fait accompli for Republicans.
Jessica, you ready to write it off that quick?
No, absolutely not. I mean, there are several factors at play that make this race very interesting. One thing that we all know is that Mike Ross has never run statewide, whereas Asa Hutchinson has run several times over the course of several decades. And he's not able to break 50% in any of this polling that we're seeing.
Sure.
So what does that mean for him? Whereas it's all on the up for candidate Ross. And I think that matters. I don't think that you can tie him to President Obama. I think it's a myth to promote this idea that these midterm elections are going to be just as horrible as the midterm elections during Obama's first go-around. That's just not how this works.
It could be, well, at least on the congressional level, they could be more similar to President Bush in 2006.
I think it'd be worse than it was in 2010. I think the longer the guy's in office, and now we're really starting to see a downward slide where you see the Washington press corps turning on him. You see how violent the world has become on his watch. And sort of the kind of the dysfunction that is associated around Obamacare. I think it's actually worse. I think it is a big year for Republicans, and you could look at a real sweep. We're getting close enough that you can see data to really bear this out.
All right, we'll let you break out the pom-poms in the next segment. When we come back, we'll look at the congressional races, all 4 of them, some more polling there, and a whole lot more to look at in a tight race from the 2nd District. I'm David Goins. You have Capitol View on Sunday morning.
Ferguson's store-wide sale on top-of-the-line Lazy Boy, American-made furniture, sofas, recliners, and sectionals. Take up to 48 months interest-free and get statewide delivery. Lazy Boy Furniture at Ferguson's Furniture, next to Walmart in Benton and at fergusonsfurniture.com.
Aladdin Rugs and Home Decor is now open in West Little Rock, and with our recent North Little Rock expansion, we have hundreds more rugs in stock. Browse contemporary and traditional rugs in all shapes and sizes, starting at $99, along with the latest styles and trends in home decor. You can find fun and funky or elegant and beautiful all in one place with excellent customer service. New designs of wallpaper are in stock. Aladdin Rugs and Home Decor in North Little Rock on JFK, and our new location at Markham and Chenal in West Little Rock behind Luby's. Come by today.
Put your best foot forward with KARK4 as we honor kids doing great work in the community. Nominate the deserving person today at ArkansasMatters.com. Winners will receive a gift card from Shoe Carnival. Best foot forward, only on KARK4. Sponsored by Shoe Carnival.
Three-way poncho. It's my problem solver. This is my one go-to outfit that gives me so many incredible looks.
Wear it at the office. Then simply pull off the shoulder for a look that's just right for a night on the town. And the next day, three-way poncho will have you ready for carpool. Tired of uncomfortable clothing? Three-way fits every figure to camouflage flaws and show off your assets. With so many looks, you'll see why everyone wants a three-way. You could pay $50 or more for this go-to garment. But now, through this special TV offer, you'll receive Suzanne's three-way poncho in black for just $19.99. And as a bonus, we're offering a second three-way poncho for half price. Flattering, easy-to-fit three-way poncho. Sizes fit small through plus sizes. And it's as soft as your favorite T-shirt. An easy-to-care-for, wrinkle-resistant fabric.
Call 1-800-790-7183.
And get your three-way plus a second three-way for half price.
Three-way poncho, that is.
That's 2 three-way ponchos at one great price. Call or go online now.
Power through your morning with Live's dynamic duo, Kelly and
far behind.
Absolutely not. Weekdays at 11 on KARK4.
Ferguson's in Benton sells more Lazy Boy furniture than any other independent dealer in Arkansas. Premium top-of-the-line Lazy Boy in fabric or leather at the state's best prices. Finance up to 48 months at Ferguson's, next to Walmart in Benton, and at fergusonsfurniture.com.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And welcome back to Capitol View. I'm David Goins. We rejoin our panel, Jessica DeLoach and Bill Vickey. Okay, let's jump into these four congressional races real quick. Let's start with the 2nd District here in Central Arkansas, close to home, at least for those who live in this part of the state, and the closest, at least from the Talk Business Hendricks poll. You see there French Hill and Pat Hayes, Republican and Democrat, pretty close, 44-43. This is a seat, Jessica, that Republicans have touted that they've won the last 2 cycles with Tim Griffin in 2010 and 2012, and this is a solidly, this is a red district. What do you take away from essentially a tie right now?
Well, the tie speaks to why I don't believe it is a solid red district. And now I understand that Congressman Griffin has held this seat for a couple of terms now, but what you're seeing with this poll, you have a 1-point difference between both of these candidates, and they're so different from one another. And we're going to have to watch how they kind of make themselves a priority for each of the counties that make up this district, how they kind of separate themselves from each other. And one thing that we know is that winning Pulaski County alone won't be enough. Saline County is going to matter, and I think you're going to see a lot of action in Saline County the closer you get to Election Day.
Bill, this isn't Herb Rule or even Joyce Helly, do you think?
No, I think, look, you had Tim Griffin, who's done an excellent job in the district and has kind of had a political iron fist in terms of re-elections as a congressman from the area. Commodore Hayes over in North Little Rock created the largest municipal navy, I think, of anyone in America, with a submarine and a tugboat and massive tax increases on a regular basis. I think we're going to see that come out. There's a big money advantage on the Republican side. French Hill has a lot of inroads inside the city of Little Rock, which has traditionally not been good for Republicans. He can do well there. I'm a little skeptical that there's only 13 or 14% undecided in this race so far. I think it's more than that. But I think this is French Hill's race to lose.
Higher undecided number, you think? Will probably
yeah, I really do. I think it's more in the 20, 23, 24% range.
It's a little different, at least in the 2nd District, to see a Republican perhaps not doing as well in the suburban counties, you know, as opposed to Little Rock.
Yeah, but I also think we haven't started a campaign for this, and I think that's where French Hill's money advantage, and as people in Searcy and White County and some other areas begin to realize the kind of tax-happy policy that Pat Hayes had over North Little Rock, I think that bodes well for French.
Well, I mean, he was, what, 24-year mayor? I mean, somebody liked it. So.
Yeah.
All right. 1st District poll, Rick Crawford.
Yes, and he'll get all those votes, by the way, and it will be enough.
There you go. So. All right, 1st District poll, Rick Crawford and Jackie McPherson. Crawford leading pretty comfortably here. This is, again, one of those 2010 seats that switched over. That's a pretty wide margin. Now, he's an incumbent, so that's maybe not a huge surprise. Any takeaways from the 1st District, Bill?
Look, he's done a very good job, traveled the district very well. I think Rick Crawford has been a surprise to a lot of so-called political insiders, but people over in East Arkansas really like him. They enjoy that kind of very plain-spoken. He gets out, he travels the district on a regular basis, and it's just an indication of kind of, I mean, we've got a Republican incumbent congressman who's wildly popular in the 1st District of the state of Arkansas. That is almost a real sort of Book of Revelation
wildly
stuff.
Maybe pushing a little bit. Is this VA situation McPherson's potential foot in the door?
I think it is a foot in the door. I mean, and sure. I mean, it just depends on how it's handled. I think that there are other issues that candidate McPherson could go after in regards to Congressman Crawford. The undecided, based on that recent Talk Business and Politics poll that was done with Hendricks College, there is still a large number of undecided voters in that congressional district.
Let's look at the the 4th District real quick. Bruce Westerman, House Majority Leader, at least at one point in the House. He's leading James Lee Witt by a very comfortable margin. This may be the wider of the 3 margins. Any surprise there of just the extent to maybe how this 4th District redrawn in 2010 is really playing well for the Republicans now?
I really think that that race is going to heat up pretty quickly. And the one thing that we all know is that James Lee Witt is a notorious fundraiser, and it does take money to run a really successful campaign, and he's going to have no trouble doing that. That's one place where I think you're going to see his opponent fall short, is on the fundraising. Like you said, after redistricting, that district is massive, and it covers a lot of diverse groups of people. But James Lee Witt has been working hard, getting his name out there, meeting people, and he's doing a tremendous job. I think he has an excellent chance at winning that race.
It's pretty clear cut, the choice here in this race. I think Bruce Westerman ran a brilliant campaign to win the Republican primary nomination and has continued that on. I do think that you see the money advantages on James Lee Witt's side, but that into itself becomes a real issue. Where does this money come from? How do you make money? And should you really profit this much off disasters where you can create a business that makes you a multimillionaire when off of tornado damage and things like that?
That's incredibly unfair.
Well, no, it's very fair, because that's what we're going to talk about in the race, and that's what brings it out. I mean, when you look at moving it from FEMA director under Bill Clinton, which he did a very good job, did a tremendous job,
right.
But then into the private sector, capitalizing on all those connections out of the Clinton administration and making a whole lot of money off of disasters, and then moving forward into a political career, it's all fair game.
Congress, at least the congressional races right now, seem to be taking a backseat to Senate and governor, spending, the whole thing, whether it's radio, TV. So we'll see as the Labor Day, y'all's magic day approaches. We'll see what happens. All right, we'll be back to wrap things up after a quick break. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
Announcing Empire Today's best financing offer of the year. No interest if paid in full within 18 months. That's right, 2016. Plus, save big during Empire's whole house sale. Buy 2 rooms and get carpet or flooring for the rest free when you pay for padding and installation. Don't miss special financing and buy 2, get the rest free. Schedule now.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
Because safety matters, KARK4 reveals a local pastor leading a double life.
Neighbors say they had never been notified a level 3 sex offender was living next door.
How could you even have a ministry and you're a registered sex offender?
Because your story contained allegations that were new to us. It was our duty to follow up.
Now the pastor is behind bars. Because safety matters, count on KARK4 for local news that matters.
Have you or your son taken Risperdal? The antipsychotic drug Risperdal has been linked with gynecomastia, a serious condition which causes men to grow female breast tissue. If you or another male took Risperdal as a minor and developed breasts, call the Sentinel Group right now. You may be entitled to significant compensation. Call the number on your screen right now to confidentially connect with an experienced law firm for a free, no-charge consultation and to see if you qualify for a significant cash award. Our network of experienced attorneys are ready to help fight for you. You won't pay a thing until your case is settled. Do not delay. There are strict time deadlines to file your claim. Many cases have already been settled out of court, so call us right now. If you or your son took Risperdal as a minor and developed breasts, take action fast. Call the number on your screen right now and get the relief you deserve.
Roy Mitchell was our anchor. Tom Bonner was our weather guy, and I did sports. We enjoyed being pioneers, and I enjoy today seeing where we've gone since then. I'm still a very, very faithful viewer.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And welcome back. Before we go, with overcrowded county jails, Arkansas is moving towards building a new state prison. But before that happens, some are calling on the state to look south for a more cost-effective solution, an idea Arkansas has flirted with before, and at least one parole board member says the state should look at before spending hundreds of millions in taxpayer dollars.
We owe it to the taxpayers of Arkansas to do the job most expedient and at the less cost.
With crowded prisons and full jails, Arkansas needs either more space or fewer people locked up. Right now, it appears the first option more likely, as planning for a new 1,000-bed prison already underway. At an Arkansas Parole Board meeting Thursday, Commissioner Jimmy Wallace says there's a less expensive option: prison beds at for-profit facilities in northern Louisiana and Texarkana, Texas.
They say they charge $28 a day, and it takes us over $60 a day to keep an inmate. I think we ought to explore that to the nth degree.
I think we'll definitely look at it. I'm rather
they're leery.
Senate Judiciary Chairman Jeremy Hutchison says the idea will be looked at, but he's hesitant to ship Arkansas inmates to another state.
First of all, it's our responsibility as a state to protect our citizens. And I think if we need to build a prison, we need to build a prison. Putting our inmates in the hands of another state and subjecting ourselves to their budget decisions and their local politics, I think is dangerous.
Expect to see a whole lot more of this bill in the 2015 session?
Hey, if we could trade some of our inmates with Texas and Louisiana, maybe get some football players in return for the Razorbacks, I'd be all for that.
Jessica?
It'll be a big issue during the next session for sure.
No question. Healthcare as well. All right, Bill Vickey, Jessica DeLoach, thank you all so much. That is it for today's show. Thanks to our political long table. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We'll see you next week.